history dodged a bullet yesterday, Charles.
Wow, we still don't know what actually happened. There's
Right.
a lot of speculation. There are, I think, incomplete reports, but some of the video is just mesmerizing. There's one in particular of Trump moving his head slightly in one direction, and if he hadn't moved his
Right.
head, he would be dead right now.
Well, exactly. He looks. So a lot of people have put out kind of plan view aerial imagery of the place, and
Right.
it was a farm. You know, it's like I forget the name of it, but some family name farm.
Butler or something.
Yeah, Butler Hills Farm or something like that. And then there's like a little bit of an industrial kind of.
Right.
I don't even want to call it an industrial park, but
Let's go a little bit.
see,
further.
it's one thing when Trump is out there in New York City and we've got
Right.
24 office buildings with
Right.
hundreds of windows. I don't know how they could possibly secure that, but we've got like 3 buildings within the whole area.
Right.
And a shooter gets 152 yards away from the president. A 15-year-old kid with a drone could have spotted that guy on the roof. People in the crowd saw him.
Well, they not only did they see him, they saw him before he sighted on the rifle. They warned the police, they warned the Secret Service, and nothing happened.
How could that
Then
be?
the Secret Service, I don't know if we want to go through here.
Yeah, we'll do it.
Maybe go to the left here.
Holy cow,
Yeah.
this has gotten
Let's
bad.
go this way.
Into the woods?
Yeah.
Yeah, this looks
I
really
don't-
bad.
Yes.
Okay.
Wow. We'll go that way.
So Charles, this is
Actually,
yet
we
another.
also don't want to go out that way, so we'll go. Maybe we'll go this way. Sorry, Jason.
Watch out for the dog do.
I'd rather not. Yeah, I'll take that risk. You just wipe it off. I don't
It's
want to be
very
knifed.
treacherous to 3D shoes, but I'm
Oh,
with
sorry,
you.
sorry.
That's okay. I don't mind. But the more serious issue, Charles, this is, they're like, oh, this was an intelligence failure. How many of these can we have? We've got September 11th, we've got October 7th, we've got this. Are any of these people doing anything? I don't think the Secret Service is remotely competent.
Well, what I was told at a moment in time, and I forget when this was, it was a number of years ago, that in the old days, if you're in a meeting...
How is that step over for you?
For me, it's easy.
Okay.
After you.
I was going to do a limbo.
Underneath?
Yeah.
So we're going to go back that way, maybe? I just didn't want to have to go out through the jungle there.
So the Secret Service is
So
incompetent.
my understanding is if you're meeting with the president outdoors in a venue and you're a stranger, you get a pin, I was told. You have to, if you're a man, you put it on your jacket, and if the Secret Service doesn't see that pin,
They'll just tackle
you're
you.
dead.
Laura said that. She did a whole Twitter Spaces, and she was very emotional, I have to say. Laura clearly, there's a relationship between the two of them where it's almost like a grandfather and a granddaughter.
Right.
Because she was crying, and she was saying that when she met Trump, she went with Paul Ingrassia to some golf tournament, and Trump just saw her standing there and walked over to her, and when she hugged him, she said the Secret Service grabbed her and almost broke her wrist.
Right.
And Trump said, no, leave her alone, she's okay.
Yeah. But so the notion, though, that Secret Service snipers would allow this guy to get 5 shots off,
Amazing.
it tells me that we need to go and understand who gets into the Secret Service, who gets into the FBI. There are too many questions now about what is truly going on and what are the loyalties of these people. We have to remember that Bill Clinton, when he was president, there's a famous incident recounted by Hillary, actually, and then also corroborated by...
European chess lessons, Charles.
Yeah,
These guys are about to get rolled.
No, this is a famous place where...
Keep mumbling, dude.
He's not a good guy. I've seen that guy when I used to go in here for coffee at the deli. I encountered him one time. His service wasn't fast enough, so he started yelling and screaming at this Islamic guy.
That chess-playing old black guy?
Yeah. He walked in and he said, "You fucking faggot! Why don't you get my order
I don't
together?"
think you can say that on YouTube.
Sorry.
That's okay.
Well, that's what he said.
That's fine, but we might get dinged.
Sorry.
If that happens, people will be able to watch us on odyssey.com/ @crowdsourcethetruth, crowdsourcethetruth.substack.com, and subscribestar.com, and patreon.com/crowdsourcethetruth.
So I started to tell the story that when Bill and Hillary first moved into the White House, they were deeply distrustful of the Secret Service. And there was an incident, I think recounted in Jeff Gerth's book and possibly also in one of Hillary's many books. She's got her 11th coming out now, as if anybody gives a shit what she has to say at this point. But anyway, there was an incident where she came back into the family quarters of the White House and felt that the Secret Service had ransacked her personal possessions. So they'd moved things and she no longer felt safe. And so they began a process of culling the Secret Service to put in Clinton loyalists. And I think they did a fair amount of that as well, without question, in the FBI and specifically in key and U.S. attorneys' offices. He
was the first president to fire all the U.S. attorneys.
Right, but I think in addition, a given U.S. attorney's office might have 800 people in it. So they went not only getting rid of the U.S. attorneys, but making sure their loyalists were stuck deeply,
the Weissmans, the Jack Smiths,
deeply in there. And I'm sure Obama did the same thing. The problem is Trump didn't do enough of that.
But also, they've had generations of doing it. So if you put Andrew Weissman in there when he was 28, and now he's 60, that's a lifelong loyalist to you. And there's 50 other people like him who we haven't even seen yet.
Right, so let's go back to the beginning of the excellent poster.
But wait, before you get off of that Clinton point, that's extremely important, Charles, because I think it speaks to this notion that you have raised, where we've got these sort of warring crime families where the Bushes and the Clintons and the Obamas, to some extent, they're on the same side. But just like in The Sopranos, there are people within the organization who have enthusiasms and aspirations that they might say, hey, wait a minute.
Right.
We know, because we were involved in Iran-Contra and Mena, Arkansas, we know that George H.W. Bush was able to succeed with his crew of Kill Kennedy by infiltrating the Secret Service and having them stand down on November 22nd, 1963, and that was an incredibly critical aspect in the assassination. So if you're the Clintons and your plan to jockey into president's seat and push out George Bush with perhaps the assistance inadvertently of Ross Perot, you're going to know that this is how they're going to try to assassinate you with the Secret Service, get them out of here and get our own people in.
Right. But if I could just steer us back to the poster itself, the great job of the art department, I think we should open the broadcast saying that whatever your political differences may be, and as strongly as you may feel them, the correct decision is not to kill your opponent, right? I mean, to have a bunch of people. What is this?
Yeah, what is this? Why are they closing the park? I've never seen them do that in the daytime. That's weird, isn't it?
That's not a park worker doing it. Maybe there's a protest coming.
But how would he be able to put up fences like that?
I don't know. So, politics is about people having, in theory, informed decisions on policy matters, voting for people they want to implement those policy matters. It's not about killing your opposition. And for all the claims made by the left that Trump encourages violence and this and that, I mean, the facts are that Kathy Griffin, that failed actor.
Right. Why didn't they do anything?
And
they let all that slide.
And Madonna on the I want to blow up the White House and this kind of stuff.
Harry Sisson.
Yeah, and the people who are making these, in the main, the people who are making these wild.
Joe Biden.
Joe Biden himself. It's time to
put him in a bullseye.
In the bullseye, July 8th. I mean, we don't need a lesson from the lamestream press about what you should and should not say. Because the one thing, I sent an email around several this morning. One of them I said, the mainstream media assassinated itself. I mean, the early reports today, last night rather, were that Trump falls on stage because he's distracted by popping noises.
Well, they still won't call it an assassination, and even when they use the word, they say apparent assassination. You got a sniper on a roof shooting at the president. What is that?
And there were other reports of somebody shooting from inside or close to the podium. So we really don't know yet what actually the full scope of what happened. I call bullshit that a 20-year-old, loner could
orchestrate all that?
Yeah, I mean, how do you get, my understanding, and if it's not the case, it needs to be changed. My understanding is that when you have such an event, there are a lot of minds wrapped around the concept of what could go wrong. There's snipers supposedly on top of every building where you could be.
But you don't usually see them. We could see them in one of the shots with Trump standing there sort of, how did they miss this guy on the roof? They're snipers.
Right.
They're supposed to be experts.
Well, I guess, the lady who was in charge of bagging Cheetos.
They said that lady
Secret
was,
Service.
but she was testifying. She was one of the ones who failed to find the cocaine at the White House. She's incompetent.
Well, or worse, she could have been involved framing people on January 6th.
Right.
And then the other thing that's really disturbing, he really is, if you go into the background of this idiot Benny Thompson, Benny and the Jets.
Right, trying to take away the Secret Service.
Well, going further back, he was a militant. He was somebody who advocated, as a young person, creating a separate state within a state, for blacks, etc. And he is hardly somebody who would pass a security test, in my view. Yet this guy played a pivotal role in a process that has ultimately put, I think, 1,000 people.
They said they're going to chase 1,000 more.
Yeah, well, no, I doubt that happens at this point.
Well, the FBI is investigating this assassination attempt.
Oh yeah, I have confidence.
Well, don't worry, Charles. I'm almost sure they know the guys who planned it.
Yeah, right. Exactly. I'll get the complete report to you soon. But it's disgusting. Now on the positives, he's safe, as far as we know. I was concerned.
He said he was.
Yeah, well, let's hope he is. But that's pretty amazing. You think about, here's a guy who gets actually shot, falls down, and instead of getting rushed away, he insists on standing back up and saying, fight, 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 gets that picture taken. Contrast that with Joe Biden at the debate. He couldn't leave the debate stage without Jill. Right?
Unbelievable, exactly. It's a good point. You could be 25 and get shot like that, and you might be in such shock and out of commission and everything. But you know what? Somebody was commenting on one of the news shows, a former Secret Service guy, the former head of the FBI, deputy something or other, was saying that was a breach of protocol for them to allow. First of all, you could hear, I think Trump had a backup, probably lavalier mic like this in case his main mic went out.
Right.
Because you could still hear a conversation even while he was nowhere near the podium, and you hear him say, wait, wait, wait.
Right.
And then he stands up. But also before that, they're kind of like, what should we do? Right. And they're like, okay, Hawkeye is here. On you. Okay, let's move him. And it just seems like a bunch of like college people trying to figure out how to get a couch down the stairs. It's just like, what? What do you mean, what should we do? You don't have a plan for exactly this? What the hell are you doing here?
Right, not much.
Wow, look at that.
Beautiful.
Charles, that is a question that goes through my mind. When there's someone whose job it is, the sole function of the Secret Service is to prevent the president from getting assassinated, and when you fail so miserably at that,
right.
I have to ask myself, what the fuck are you doing here?
Well,
you should be fired.
Maybe that wasn't the sole purpose of the Secret Service.
Exactly.
So, now...
We got some amazing photography, Charles. I just want to show everybody, because I've been getting a lot of questions about this. You probably saw this. There's this photo that people were asking me, Jason, is this real? Could a photo capture a bullet like that?
Right.
And the answer is absolutely yes. Remember, a lot of these people taking these photos are professional press photographers using very expensive cameras. And I would presume that this photo was taken with a very high shutter speed, because you're outside on a bright, sunny day, and a lot of professional photographers don't like to shoot with their lens stopped down beyond 5.6 or 8 or certainly 11. And so to control exposure on a bright day like that, you might increase the shutter speed quite a lot, and it would capture the bullet streaking through the air like that.
Look, just on a side note, this is where the carts
One
bivouac.
location.
Well, it looks like they stage here.
I think they probably have multiple spots, but this doesn't look like a place where you should be preparing food, does it?
Yeah, well, rats. If you want rat sandwiches.
So for people who are wondering about the photography, absolutely, I would say 1,000th of a second, 1/4,000th of a second would capture that kind of bullet in flight. Edward Muybridge, in some of the early studies that eventually led to motion picture photography, he set up an array to capture multiple frames of a horse trotting to try to understand the gait of a horse. That's a nice little dog. And
Not on a leash, though.
yeah, that's not really too thoughtful of your neighbors. But anyway, the point of the matter is, no, Muybridge is the guy who was freezing time. Who was the guy that shot the apples? Anyway, the point is you can catch a bullet mid-flight if you have a high enough shutter speed.
Sure. Well, yeah, so this is, on the one hand, it's good that he survived. Something that is not particularly reported enough is that yesterday, about an hour before the assassination attempt, Biden was on a call.
I think we're going to roast here. Let's fall back to the shade.
Okay.
You think we'll make it? All right, let's try it.
Biden was on a call with moderate Democrats, and the call did not go well.
Was he yelling at them or
yelling, snapped, and then he said he had to leave to go to Mass on Saturday.
Oh, boy.
You know, I mean,
He's got to get there early.
right, but he's a petulant, corrupt fool. Now, do I think some physical harm should come to him? Of course not. I think he should be impeached. I think a good bright spot here is, I think, while he does have pardon power, I think following, the two events yesterday, Biden's continued meltdown and Trump's survival of an assassination attempt, I don't think Biden has the political capital left to force the Department of Justice to allow him to process pardons involving himself and his family. I just don't think he could do that now. Or he could have done it before.
I think he will still be able to do that.
I don't think so. You have
People will hate it.
No, because he can't write the memo himself. He's going to have to go convince people in the Justice Department.
Isn't it just Merrick Garland, though?
Well, but Merrick Garland's going to understand now that Trump most likely will win with a gigantic mandate, which will then allow the next administration to go back over this ground, and he's going to think twice about doing something as egregious as letting a president pardon himself or a family
That's true,
member.
because Merrick Garland will be exposed.
Sure.
He's going to want to ask Trump for a raise. It's difficult to live on $1 a day.
Yeah. Now, we're over in the East Village at this point. And on Sunday morning, because we are doing this early, you don't expect to see a lot of activity because people are sleeping off.
The drugs.
Many people have just gotten home at 5 in the morning. But it is remarkably quiet.
Yeah, that's true.
Which is why I'm happy to be here. I think in the afternoon I wouldn't be so pleased to be here.
You know, Charles, when he was speaking, he's talking something about immigration, and he looks over to somebody or some chart or something, and he turns his head almost completely in profile, and it's still clipped his ear. So, I mean, if he was facing forward, the back of his head would have been taken off.
Right. Right.
Think about how much that would be like JFK, not just because he's shot in the head, but Trump is here openly opposing the war in Ukraine.
Right.
Obviously, the military-industrial complex that Eisenhower warned us about and Kennedy immediately seized upon trying to stop doesn't want that. They don't want Trump to stop the Ukraine war, so they basically executed the same exact plan they tried against Kennedy.
Well, and how exactly, I mean, I'm not a rifle expert, but how much training do you need
to make that shot?
To make, not once. I mean, we better quickly go here.
Yeah, it does seem like he fired 2 or 3 more shots.
5 shots.
Yeah, I heard a lot. And you can even tell by the quality of the sound where the shots are coming from one rifle from one location, and then the next series of shots come from other locations. But they're reporting that he was 152 yards away, and Cullen has already begun analyzing all of a lot of data that's coming in. And so when we went to the desert maybe 3 years ago, and he was sort of training me how to use a sniper rifle, the targets were 300 yards away, and I hit a styrofoam head right in the jugular.
Wow. So you're saying you trained this guy?
Well, no, I'm saying that was my first time ever using a rifle. And I mean, I don't know, maybe I'm skilled at aiming.
Yeah, that's pretty skillful, yeah.
But that was twice the distance, and I was able to, if that was a person, they certainly would be dead from that shot.
Right, but so the question is, when did this guy start training, if he is the actual shooter?
Probably video games train somebody like that very well to have good hand-eye coordination.
Right, but I mean, when did he buy the gun? Did he buy it lawfully? How long has he had it? Did he go to a rifle range?
That's where all the bullshit from the FBI is going to come in. I don't even think this is the guy. First, they showed a picture of a fat guy.
Right. And they had a video yesterday, almost like an hour afterwards, of some guy with a different name who had posted online something saying, I'm going to the rally and there will be justice. And it's not the same guy. So it's too soon to speak conclusively, I think, about what may have happened there.
But how many times, Charles, have they said, oh, Jason made a video about a national figure that somebody else watched and then sent a crappy message to that person, so Jason is threatening them. Right. I didn't come out and say, put that person in a bullseye,
right,
and then something happened. So this is a tactic, and it's interesting. Alex Jones was saying last night, and sometimes he's quite accurate. I mean, this is just a prediction, so we don't know. But he was saying that he believes now they'll attempt to assassinate Biden and then blame it on Trump people and say it's retaliation.
Yeah, anything's possible. Anything's possible. But really, and going back to what you were talking about, when you do something, or I do something, it has a certain reach. When the President of the United States on July 8th says, now it's time to put Trump in the bullseye.
Millions.
I mean, go back to January 6th. He was
right.
Trump did not say, I want to
go
violent
attack
up,
the Capitol.
but they've taken what he did say, and they've turned it into 4 years of persecuting.
Bigger than 9/11.
Prosecuting over 1,000 of his supporters. Biden gets to say, now it's time to put Trump in a bullseye.
And that's
a couple of weeks after he falls flat on it in the debate. I mean, it's outrageous.
It is
the double
outrageous.
standard is outrageous.
It's sickening, too, because so many people, even if you hate Trump, you have to recognize that murdering a former president of the United States in an open crowd is an injury to the entire country that we would have never recovered from.
Right.
And it literally would have changed the course of history. I think
this?
Joe Biden should just give up.
Look at this. The number of people on the street here?
What are they doing?
I don't know. They're living here.
You're right.
Let's get away from them. It's outrageous. It's a chop. 1, 2, 3.
That's crazy. And they have like coffees that they just bought or someone gave them.
It's fucking ridiculous.
Oh, look, here's another weed store shut down, Charles.
Didn't pay Adams enough. So now let's go down St. Mark's Place.
Has Putin said anything about this?
I don't know.
I think the New York Times was the only one to last night. They don't want to call it an assassination attempt. I mean, I don't understand.
It clearly was.
Obviously.
It clearly was. It was a despicable.
They're just calling it like an incident and.
No, it clearly was an assassination attempt, and Barron Trump was right there. Right?
Yeah.
That was his first, I think, was it his first rally?
No, the one last week. Well, not his first rally, but it was the first one where Trump kind of acknowledged him because because now he's 18, I guess.
Yeah.
He really looks remarkably like Trump. Like, there's one particular image where Trump first comes up and he's kind of got his arms over the shoulders of the Secret Service agents, and just for whatever reason, from that particular profile, he looks almost exactly like Barron Trump.
Well, here we are. In this particular stretch, we've got a lot of Ukraine supporters still. I think there are a lot of Ukrainian Americans living in this area.
Look, what do they have there?
It's a church.
Felon, it's Trump.
What do you say? Oh, felon, wow.
See that? So, I mean, by the way, even that, ginning up the fake court bullshit, it's like when George's asshole brother advertises that, oh, Jason doesn't have the Second Amendment. People should go approach him on the street.
Mein Kampf.
Dishonorable, it says.
Mein Kampf, the book.
Where's that?
Above felon, on the right.
Oh, yeah, he's holding it in his hand.
Now you're allowed to express your opinion. That's fine. But, I mean...
They got a Hitler mustache on him.
I know.
It really is an insult to people that were subjected to that. And there are people who are still alive and the children of the people who were subjected to Hitler. There are so many idiots in our country, Charles. It's very disappointing, but we're almost out of time here. Okay. We're going to carry on. I have some more photos here that we can look at.
All right.
Oh yeah, and I want to talk to you also about this American Glass Research, which is the building that the guy was on. It's the new book depository.
All right.
But people are going to be able to join us in the First Amendment Forum in just 5 minutes. Get onto odyssey.com/@crowdsourcethetruth. That's the most economical way to access sponsor-exclusive content. It's only $3 a month. You can also go to substack.com, crowdsourcethetruth.substack.com or subscribestar.com or patreon.com. We'll be right back.